Welcome to the first video installment of what we will be calling Dashboard Breakdowns. My name is Michael. I'm the founder of Buffalo Performance and Analysis, a San Antonio-based company where we combine sports science, strength and conditioning, and sports performance to give coaches the tools necessary to build the next generation of elite athletes. The dashboard that we're going to break down right now are some of the clients that we have with Buffalo Performance and Analysis. We do 6-week checkups on the athletes in terms of their body fat tracking, as well as we're going to go over some basic just weight tracking. In a couple more weeks here, they are going to hit the 12-week mark in their plan, and they will be maxing out on all their lifts again, as well as getting an additional body fat measurement. So at that point, we'll have a secondary progress report for them for their 12-week checkup, where we'll have body fat, weight tracking, and lifts, so the squat, bench, power clean, as well as their broad jump and a 10-yard sprint. So in a couple weeks, we'll have that dashboard. But for right now, we're going to go over their 6-week progress report. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize my head here so we can take a look at this dashboard. So what we see here are 3 of our athletes. They're actually all brothers, so we got to work together with them, and we were able to put together just one dashboard. This is something that every single athlete can do. This is something that we can do for parents. And so we'd have a singular dashboard for parents, and then we can also have one on the team setting, right? So we could have an entire dashboard similar to the one that you're seeing here, but it would have drop-down lists where coaches can kind of dive deeper and take a look at specific athletes. So a team setting one wouldn't have a full team's body mass right here. It would have a drop-down. You'd pick a player's name, and it would give you their stats then. So like I said, we do body fat measuring as well as weight tracking. As we can tell by our graph over here in the table underneath, we see their progress over 6 weeks. Gabe put on about 13 pounds, just under 13 pounds over 6 weeks, which is immense, right? Mason was much more conservative with only about 6 pounds of weight gain. And Steven was coming in at about just under 9 pounds. Now it's important to note this is weight that they put on. This isn't muscle that they put on over here on this table right over here. But we can take a look here at where these big jumps are occurring. We see with Gabe, on March 5th, he weighed 178. The next time we weighed him in on March 15th was 188. Okay. And then so from 188 to 193 is only a 3-pound increase. So it's more likely that this 178 was just a very low point for him. He wasn't lifting at this point in time. So we see a massive jump from his first weigh-in to his second weigh-in. Another thing that we provide, like I mentioned, is body fat measuring. Over the course of 6 weeks, Gabe was able to put on about almost 17 pounds of muscle, and in the meantime drop 6 pounds of fat. We're going to dive a little bit more into this here in a second, because that seems very unrealistic for 6 weeks, and it is. Mason, on the other hand, put on about 7.5 pounds of muscle and lost 1.5 pounds. And Steven, same thing, kind of unrealistic, 12, almost 13 pounds of muscle gain and 4.5 pounds of fat loss. Now we can kind of dive into this and break it down like we already spoke about with Gabe. From his first weigh-in at 178 to his second weigh-in at 188, it's a 10-pound jump. So did he really put on 16, almost 17 pounds of muscle? No, because right here on March 5th, he's 178. For him to be able to go from March 5th to March 15th, putting on 10 pounds of muscle, it didn't happen. It's just that he started eating. Okay, so that number right there is definitely skewed by his weight tracking. But that's why consistency is key, right? At this next 12-week checkup point, it's going to flatten that curve a little bit, and it's going to show a more accurate reading. And that's why, again, consistency is key with this. Additionally, we look at Steven, 12, almost 13 pounds of muscle gain in 6 weeks. It's the same thing with Steven. Steven put on a lot of weight very rapidly because these athletes were not lifting prior to this. Prior to this, these athletes were coming from, I started working with them March 5th, March 15th was our first day hitting the weights hard. They hadn't touched the weight room since September, maybe October. So we're looking at a minimum of 7 months of no weight room activity. Just conditioning, just running, and not eating with intent in mind. So now as they come into them, we're going to see this large jump over a short period of time because now they're eating with intent. They're coming to the weight room 3 times a week, hitting it hard 3 times a week. Not just with weights, but with speed and agility training, and they're going full force, and they're putting their best foot forward every time. What that says is that while they did put on immense amounts of muscle in a short period of time, a lot of it's neurological gains and muscular gains in that. Their bodies are recognizing that they are faced with an external stimuli, being the bar or the dumbbells, and that their body has to compensate. Their body has to grow very rapidly to accommodate for that external load being applied to them. That's not going to be consistent at this next 12-week checkup mark. We're not going to see 32, 33, 34 pounds of muscle mass in 12 weeks from Gabe. That's not practical. In fact, Gabe's body mass has actually stayed around 191 to 193. On a heavy day, he's at 194. So we can see in the first 6 weeks, their bodies are getting acclimated to where their body weight should be, what their muscle mass should be, what their fat mass should be. But they were not put in an optimal position of training and nutrition prior to this that allowed their bodies to be working optimally. And that's one of the key things that I want to drive home about Buffalo Performance and Analysis, is that we're not just a weight room organization, right? We're not just training athletes in the weight room or on a field. We go ahead and gather data on these athletes. That way we can give coaches the insights that they need to see where their athletes are growing. Very shortly, we're going to be seeing a couple video breakdowns of form and technique for athletes lifting, where we can give feedback to coaches and say, when Gabe is doing a power clean, he needs to be on his heels more. He needs to have his hips back because his first phase of the pull is going forward when it should be going backwards. And that's where Buffalo Performance and Analysis really pays off for coaches. We are able to take the time necessary to give coaches the insights that they need to inspire their athletes to continue to grow. Coaches have very limited time, energy, and resources at them. Buffalo Performance and Analysis can come in, gather the data, extract the data, manage the data, and then put that data to use without having the coaches have the headache and hassle of trying to figure that out on their own. Now the coaches don't have to go out and learn data analysis, data science, sports science. They can just give us the data. We'll arrange it for them, we'll visualize it for them, and we'll give them a dashboard presentation such as the one that you're seeing right here. If your team is interested in getting to the next level, I highly recommend that you reach out to us via Gmail at buffalop&s@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at Buffalo Performance, or you can find us on our website, which will be hopefully up very shortly. Again, if you're trying to get your team to the next level, please reach out. Let Buffalo Performance and Analysis help you get to that next level.